Greek nose. Clean line from bridge to tip. No hump, no detours. Like a runway that's always open. You see this nose a lot around the Mediterranean and across Europe, but also anywhere people mixed and moved. It looks neat and simple on camera. Sunglasses sit on it like they paid rent, and reading glasses don't slide off mid-sentence. Air moves through smoothly. This nose makes clean shadows at sunset and looks sharp from every angle. If you're late to a meeting, your Greek nose shows up early and takes notes. It's efficient, like a good espresso. No foam, no fuss, just impact. If you like photos, try turning slightly and dropping your chin a little. Natural light from a window will outline the bridge and keep everything clean. Button nose. Short length, small structure, often a slight upturn that makes the tip catch light like a spark. You notice it in French New Wave stills from Paris, in kawaii shop windows near Harajuku, and in countless teen dramas filmed in Los Angeles where close lenses love small geometry. Beauty pages in Tokyo often call it cute because the tip reflects even light, and vintage posters in Paris used it when the mood was playful. It has shown up as a trend and then faded and then returned, which is another way of saying it never really left. If this is yours, you are lucky to have a shape that cameras treat kindly. The face looks bright in 3/4, and the whole look reads relaxed without any effort. Old studio tricks say a tiny highlight on the upper tip brings definition, but honestly, this nose already speaks with a soft voice that microphones love. Nubian nose. Longer bridge that runs to a generous tip. Wider base with open nostrils that breathe like a well-designed tunnel. You meet it often across West and Central Africa and throughout the Afro diaspora, from Salvador da Bahia to New Orleans and London. Ife and Benin bronzes show proud full noses as central elements rather than details, and contemporary Lagos fashion shoots often frame a straight-on view because the symmetry around the base looks powerful under even light. In Rio, carnival artists guide the eye with a clean line down the center, not to erase anything but to let sequins and feathers sing without fighting the face. There have been decades when glossy magazines tried to shrink every feature, and decades when music videos and album art did the opposite. The pendulum swings. The architecture here is practical and bold and needs no apology. Family gatherings will confirm another truth. Your scent radar solves mysteries before the pot even simmers. Roman nose. Convex bridge with a graceful outward curve that gives a strong silhouette in side view. You can trace it on silver denarii from the Roman Forum and on carved cameos from Venice. Then find it again in Persian and Ottoman miniatures that loved expressive profiles. It is common around the Mediterranean and the Levant, and shows up in every port city where merchants and sailors left their stories. At various times, it has been cast as authority in Italian cinema and as seriousness in European theater posters. The curve can be gentle or bold, so two people with this label may not look alike. When artists in Tehran or Istanbul light a face from the side, this bridge turns shadow into poetry. Some eras tried to soften it with makeup or surgery trends, others celebrated it as noble. Let the fashion cycle turn how it wants. The coin makers of old already decided this shape reads like a headline. Fleshy nose. A rounded, full tip that holds more presence than sharp outlines ever could. The bridge stays relaxed while the end of the nose takes center stage, glowing under soft light like it moisturizes more than the rest of the face. In different times, this shape has been both loved and laughed at. Ad campaigns chasing razor-thin silhouettes called it too heavy, while casting directors who wanted honest and relatable faces chose it again and again. Portrait photographers know that a fuller tip photographs with warmth, catching highlights that look inviting rather than severe. There's an old saying that people with fleshy noses know the best food spots, and whether or not that is true, it fits the vibe. In noisy rooms, this nose has a calming effect, softening tension when frowns appear and sealing the deal when laughter follows. If yours looks this way, consider yourself lucky. Your face reads approachable, real, and unforgettable without even trying. Hawk nose. The hawk nose has a straight bridge that gradually narrows into a fine point at the tip, giving the impression of a bird of prey gliding in the air. It is angular, precise, and immediately noticeable in profile. In ancient Greek and Roman art, this shape sometimes appeared on statues of generals because it suggested focus and intent. Centuries later, in Vienna during the neoclassical period, portraits with this nose were painted to give sitters an air of intelligence and quiet command. In modern cinema, a few actors are famous for carrying the hawk nose with effortless cool. Think Adrian Brody. That sharp line gives his profile a sculpted, slightly brooding edge. Or Owen Wilson, whose subtly angled tip reads playful yet defined. Tilda Swinton sometimes falls into this category too, especially in her sharper, ambiguous angled portraits. She carries the gliding elegance, ethereal and strategic. Across decades, wellness magazines sometimes mocked it for being too sharp. In the 1990s, fashion editorials rediscovered it for its lines, highlighting that a nose built for clarity can become cinematic again. Hollywood loves it for characters who need to look decisive on minimal light. Wide nose, broad across the nostrils and the alar rims, generous from the front and steady from the side, able to pair with a straight bridge, a curved bridge, or a dipped bridge. It is seen a lot in West Africa, Melanesia, and Polynesia, and of course it appears in every capital where families from those regions live. In Accra and Abidjan fashion magazines, an even front light with a wide base is a beauty signature that signals strength and presence, while in Samoa, proud noses sit under flower garlands and eula necklaces at ceremonies as part of the formal look. In places that once worshipped very narrow bridges, kids with this width often collected nicknames and lived through them. So, if this is yours, there is a fair chance you were bullied during childhood. And there is also a fair chance adulthood turned that experience into a steady kind of confidence. A simple highlight along the bridge can guide the eye if you prefer, but the best trick is cultural memory. The face you carry is already in family albums and dances and carvings and on the front row of community photos. Dorsal hump nose. Straight start, a pronounced bump across the bridge, then a steady run to the tip. Think landscape with a hill that brings depth when light skims from the side. It is common from Athens to Lahore, and it travels with every diaspora. Ancient coins from the Eastern Mediterranean cut this outline because it reads from across a room, and Armenian studios still light it carefully to carve sculpture out of shadow and gleam. Many people who carried this shape through school quarters in London or Belgrade or New York heard the nicknames, and yes, if this is you, there is a real chance you were bullied during childhood. The same hill becomes a signature on stage posters and film stills because a small head turn writes a story the camera cannot ignore. Choose frames that sit a little higher so the bridge line clears the crest, then let that ridge catch the light like a sunset on stone.